Um, I'm just incredibly grateful, obviously, to the Spurs organization and Coach Pop and RC and the whole staff. Really, just from day one, has been so great to me, and I'm a little overwhelmed right now, to be perfectly honest. And just it's as great it is this opportunity. It's also incredibly humbling at the same time. So, feeling a lot of emotions, but those would probably just be the two driving forces. Is just thankful and just humbled.
At what point did you begin to think, I can be a coach at some level?
I think I've always had a little bit of coaching in me naturally. The way I playing the point guard position, and just my experiences being a basketball player. I think there's just been a tremendous amount of time in film sessions and game planning, stuff like that. So I think I'm comfortable with my best basketball IQ and stuff like that. And I think the coaching thing, like, it just kind of comes naturally a little bit to me. This is obviously a huge opportunity, but again, it is basketball, and so I'm very confident in that area.
The whole history thing, I mean, you're kind of making history here by playing full-time. But how do you feel about that?
Obviously, that's great, and it's a tremendous honor. But I think the bigger point is I'm getting hired because I'm capable, because of my basketball IQ, and stuff that they've seen in me personally. So those are probably questions more to direct at Pop, why I'm here. But I know I'm just thrilled for the opportunity to coach these unbelievable athletes, and from what I've known, unbelievable people.
Can you describe the role that Dan Hughes played in nurturing your interest in coaching, and also sort of having some conversations with Pop and RC about you?
Well, Coach Hughes has really been a driving force behind the scenes for a while, I think. I've had conversations with him. Obviously, my ACL injury last year, talk about flipping things around. I mean, that really was a huge turning point in the fact that it allowed me to be here. It allowed me to be in coaches' meetings with them, to be on the floor with them, to see how things really work behind the scenes. And he played a part in that. I know there was communication. I had went to him probably in late July and August, and I said, since I'm going to be around, can you talk to, RC and Pop and see if they wouldn't let me into a few practices, so I can kind of peek my head and learn from them. And that just kind of snowballed into, yeah, come on over. We'd love to, show you the ropes a little bit and see how we do things over here. And now we're sitting here today.
How did they broach this Pop? Like, did they just spring it on you? Like, hey, Becky, would you like to get over? Was it a negotiation? How did this job kind of come to be, I guess?
Well, I think they've had conversations. That's something to ask them. They had conversations earlier about they've been observing me for the past 8 years, how I play, how I communicate, interact with my teammates, fans, the community. So they've been kind of watching me, I think, from afar, and then just these last few years, knowing that I'm coming to the end of my career. I got to be perfectly honest, it's never been about the woman thing. It's been about, hey, she's got a great basketball mind, and we'd love to have her. We think she'd be a great addition to our program. So I think that's just the driving force is, Pop told me early on, he's like, as cool as it would be to hire you, he said, you have to be qualified, and I have to make sure you're qualified. And I think that's the best way to go about it. I mean, I think it could be very catastrophic if I wasn't qualified. And then it sets the whole thing back.
Who have been the most important basketball influences in your life?
Well, early on, obviously, my dad. I started playing basketball, obviously, because I loved it. I have been an absolute gym rat since I can remember. My dad, my brother, I just have always loved the game. Growing up, I remember asking my dad, hey, Dad, will I ever play in the NBA? At that point, there was no WNBA. I'm 7 or 8 years old. So I don't understand anything about college or scholarships or overseas or anything like that. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, sweetie, no, Like, you'll never be able to play in the NBA. He said, but if you're really, really good, maybe you can get a college scholarship. And so, I'm going to have to call him up and say, Dad, you never said coaching. So.
When did you think that this might be a possibility for you?
When I started coming in and seeing just how the organization is run kind of internally, and just it's not, you hear about San Antonio, even outside when I was in New York, the organization itself, Spurs Sports and Entertainment, it's a first-class organization. So to kind of come in and be allowed access and to kind of see it firsthand was really cool, and it's got my wheels turning about, like, this is something I would really love to be a part of. The ethics, the character, the integrity that this organization runs by are kind of right in line with mine personally. So it's a good natural marriage there.
Now, you should be, I would assume, be able to step right in. The players obviously have a respect for you already, so it seems like it's going to be an easy transition, I would think.
Well, I mean, I have a lot to learn. I really, I'm not coming in thinking, I'm here to be a part of the team. I'm here to help these guys in any way possible, help the coaching staff in any way possible, and really just serve these guys and try to get the best out of them, motivate them, and I'm here to help them. I mean, it's really, when it gets down to it, it's about those guys out there, and kind of the mini team that you have as a coaching staff. It's kind of a team within a team, the coaching staff, and so just whatever I can add to the group. I'm sure Pop will be yelling at me soon enough with the rest of them.
Are you ready for that? Are you ready for that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think you can't be in situations where maybe it's high intensity or high pressure situations. You can't be easily offended. I mean, you take everything. Sometimes you gotta maybe take the tone out and get what whoever's speaking to you is actually saying, get the message instead of the tone, and you leave the other things there. I mean, it's a high pressure situation for everybody. I mean, we're talking about winning games and winning games at a high level. So I'm ready to be treated just as any other assistant coach.
Becky, you talked about the inner workings of the Spurs since you've been around them and up close and stuff a little bit. Can you talk about a little bit about how one of the traits of the franchise, under Pop, has been they always think outside the box. Look at how many European players they have. He went out and got the European coach. Now they got you. Can you talk a little bit about that? How they've kind of always seem to have been ahead of the curve. These last.
I think that really comes from leadership. They're not afraid to think outside the box, like you said. Try something new. They're also, along with how they run things, I think you'll find they're the first. If something didn't work, they'll say, hey, yeah, that didn't work. Let's move on. Let's try something else. And there's always a humility piece when you're kind of dealing with them. And as part of a team, and I think this is exemplified in leadership, sometimes you have to be able to say, yeah, that was my bad. Like, I learn, and you learn and you move on. And I think honesty, integrity, and trust. I think leadership, starting from RC and Pop, the guys, they trust them. And you'll follow anybody into battle when you trust them and they have their best interests. And I think that's a real basis of what they teach here. I know they teach those guys. You got to trust those other guys out there around you. And I think, as you saw, they are able to accomplish great things when you learn and trust and you have that camaraderie on a team. It's a really special kind of synergy when you see it at that level. It was just a beautiful thing to watch. And it all stems from leadership.
Becky, you say you want to be just like every other assistant coach, but obviously there's going to come some extra attention at times because of this role. How do you plan on handling some of that?
The best way I know how is just to be myself. I don't think there's any magic formula. This is a tremendous opportunity, and I take it with great responsibility. But there is also, like I said, as cool as it is, there's just the fact that this is basketball, and there's women that have trailblazed much bigger paths, and really trailblazed a path for things like this to happen. And there's a lot more important things going on in the bigger things. CEOs of companies, and women are really in every area. I mean, they're in the surgery rooms, they're doctors, they're lawyers, they're COOs, and so even me sitting here today to be able to have the playing experience that I have as a professional basketball player, women went before me to pave that trail, and so I'm really just reaping benefits of all their hard work and labor, and like I said, just incredibly blessed and humbled by the whole thing.
What do you feel like your strengths are going to be as a coach versus the things that you can bring?
You know, I think X's and O's wise, I'm going to be learning a lot, but I think that would probably be the most natural thing. Things that work on the men's side work just as good on the women's side. Give and goes, the fundamentals really, you know, pick and rolls, pick and pops, different things. There's so much carryover. The carryover of just an athlete. Athletes want to be coached. Athletes want to be motivated. Athletes want to be told when they're doing something wrong. Real competitors, they need to be called out and told, hey, you know, you're doing this wrong. And I think sometimes egos can get in the way, but if you sit back and really chew on what people are saying, you can really grow your game and really grow your experiences. And that's how you maintain. That's how you get good for so many years, is you keep adding and evolving to your game.
You said Pop wanted to make sure you were qualified. Do you think there was a turning point at some point in time that he realized that you are?
I don't know. Again, that's probably a question you can direct towards him. But like I said, I think they've been observing me for a while. I've been here 8 years, so just observing me on the court, you know, and then just kind of, like I said, interacting and personality-wise, you know, if I fit in, you know, my character, stuff like that. And that's really why this thing can work, is because the person and my character that they saw, they said, okay, this kind of fits. But I know I still have a lot to learn, and I'm really eager to learn, and who better to learn from, so.
Was it difficult for you to step away from the Spurs team when the star season started, and they're going into the playoffs, and you're sort of watching from afar after being right behind the bench?
It was in ways, obviously. You know, that's when when the good stuff really starts to happen. But the other thing is, I have a team, and I have a career that I still need to finish off here. So, you know, once I'm getting past all the hoopla, my attention will be turned towards the Stars and finishing our season strong, getting into postseason, and my teammates need to see and hear from me and know that I'm available to them, and I'm going to be just as focused as ever, you know, finishing out that.
Does this help that transition, going from one to the other?
I mean, it's obviously nice to know you have a job after you're done playing, so that's nice. But I really, you know, after fielding some questions and talking to some media, I'm really going to be buckled down into finishing my Star season and wrapping up my career as a player.
Were there moments during the playoffs when you could almost sort of put yourself inside the huddle when Pop was talking to the fellas and kind of knowing what was going to happen?
Obviously, just sit back and watch from afar. I mean, you're watching. I actually really like watching from home because I can get replay and I can rewind it. So when they're on the road, you know, I really enjoyed watching their games because I can kind of break it down and slow things down a little bit. But I mean, I was sending them texts, you know, cheering for you, congrats. I know they were really busy at that time, so it was just about them at that moment. It wasn't about me stepping away or anything. It was they were getting ready to get their shine on.
Becky, do you think you could handle those end of quarter interviews? Do you think you could do that with?
Well, I don't know if anybody can do it like Pop, so hopefully I won't have to do that. They can handle that. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want that job either.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.